how can I not have my story tell me what to do? How can I tell my story? And I think you're a great example of that. Telling your story in an empowered way. We're not the victims of our stories. We are the characters in those stories who are doing something and evolving.
Today's guest is Linda Shively. Featured in Wall Street Journal, is a best-selling author, international award-winning speaker, and neuroscience and mindset expert. She has presented across the world at NASDAQ, the New York City Bar Association, the Academy of Medicine of Mexico, the Harvard Club of Boston, Walmart, and Carnegie Hall. Linda has been a multi-time guest on ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox Television, featured in a movie with Winona Ryder and Jeff Daniels, and even performed at the Rose Bowl for over 90,000 people. Growth mindset professionals and royalty have sought out to eliminate self-sabotaging patterns and decrease stress and overwhelm so they can take action, have influence, and create the mindset to design and lead the life they love. I'm excited to introduce San Francisco Bay Area native master practitioner of NLP, executive coach, and certified laughter yoga teacher. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you, Anita. It's so wonderful to be here to talk about joy and how you can bring it into your life no matter what is happening.
Absolutely. I'm so excited for this conversation. And, there's just things that automatically I can't wait to ask you about. So let's get straight in. What is one of the most courageous things that you have done?
The most courageous thing that I've done is in 2005, I had to leave an abusive relationship with my severely handicapped 3-year-old daughter, Jessica. And Jessica, she's just bright-eyed, happy little girl, loved books, playing with stickers, playing with her friends, zooming around in her power chair because she had a condition called spinal muscular atrophy, and it affected her ability to sit and crawl and walk and eventually to swallow and breathe. But her little index finger was strong enough to zoom around in that power chair and use a communication device. The marriage was not a healthy marriage.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely a lot of verbal attacks, I was very concerned it was getting more physical, and knew that it wasn't a safe place for me nor for my daughter. But I didn't know how to get out because she had we needed 24-hour care. So on a Tuesday after she came home from preschool, I looked at her nurse and I said, "You pack all of her medical equipment. I'm going to pack the clothes and toys. Once she wakes up from her nap, we're going to escape." After a flurry of activity, Jessica woke up and we left. And exactly 2 weeks later, 2 days after Christmas, I was sitting in the pediatric intensive care unit at the foot of her bed with the head of pediatric intensive care, who, it was his day off. He came in on his day off and sat there and said, "She's not going to make it." I said, "What do you mean?" "Nothing is working. She's just not going to make it." And I said, "Does that mean I have to tell you to pull a plug, tell you to kill my daughter?" And just at that moment, all the alarms go off. Beep, 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 beep. Code blue, code blue. Everybody comes rushing in, ready to revive her. They have the paddles ready. And he just calmly waves his hand over her bed. And everybody just stopped. And we all stood there, surrounding her with love, as her life started to fade. And there was that beep. And I picked Jessica up one last time, and I could still barely feel the life in her. And then it was gone. And I could have stayed in that deep, dark place for a very long time, but I knew that there had to be something else, something more. And she'd brought so much joy into my life that I couldn't let it just sit there. And I remembered what a friend of me had told me when she was first diagnosed. And she said, it doesn't matter what happens to you. The only thing that you can do is how you deal with it. And I took that kind of as a personal challenge to move forward from that point, from that incredibly, some people would call it courageous moment in time, to be able to help not only myself through lots of counseling and coaching and personal development work, to now helping other people and helping them be the best version of themselves and have the joy in their life, take the actions they want to take, design their life the way they want to design it. But it wasn't an easy journey.
No, not at all. And my heart goes out. And
thank you.
You know,
And I know you've also had a journey.
Thank you. Yes. I mean, especially when there's little ones involved, it's heartbreaking. Let's be honest. You know, absolutely. And we'd never think that children should go before their parents. That's a given. And you know, I can only begin to imagine or have an idea. You know, that's as far as it goes, what you must have gone through. But I absolutely, truly feel the courage it's taken to help others through it, like you just said, is absolutely a beautiful gift, and the joy. And Jessica, you know, she's there all the time, giving that joy and nudging you on, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And that joy is something that we all can tap into. And sometimes allowing that, we sometimes hide it or think it's not actually possible, or allow the situations in our life to kind of overtake us and not really feel that joy all the time. But it's possible. And sometimes when we get in our own way, I refer to those as our joy stealing dragons. And,
Wow.
it's kind of a playful way to talk about what is happening, because we can get in our own way, and that they steal our joy and allow us to not fully live at that higher vibration. And when that happens, like, I've named all of these dragons, so they're easy to remember and kind of fun and playful. And these are my dragons, so your dragons might have different names. But the first one is second guessing Sally. And second guessing Sally wants you to second guess every decision. Like, should I do this? Should I not do this? Should I do it differently? Was this the way I needed it? Oh, wait, maybe. Oh, I'm gonna do this, and then it's like, maybe not. And she wants that back and forth to throw you off course. And one of my clients, Monica, had been challenged by this second guessing Sally dragon. She had a decision to make in her business, and it was disturbing her well-being. It was affecting her relationships. It was affecting her work. And we had to get her clear, and not clear so that the work would move forward, but clear so that she could move forward.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I was like, oh, I think I know what the answer is. But that's not what coaching's about. It's letting her figure it out. But guiding her through a decision-making process where she got super clear for herself. And as she decided, she's like, oh, this is what needs to happen. And she was able to move forward and continue to expand what she was doing in the direction that was right for her. And another one of the dragons is No Good Nancy. And No Good Nancy, yeah, you laugh. No Good Nancy wants you to believe that you're not good enough. Anita, you are. And everybody who's listening, you are. You are good enough. But No Good Nancy wants you to believe you're not. And she'll say, you can't do that. You're not good enough. Or even when you do something and you succeed, she'll say, you could have done it better. And it's so aggravating because it's not true. And she just wants you to not be able to do anything the way it needs to be done and critique you and criticize you. And my client, Kristen, is an 8-figure business owner, and she'd grown her business from scratch to this very successful place. And her role changed. And she'd lost confidence, and she didn't know how to lead from that new place. And she realized she had to step into a new version of herself, because if she didn't, that No Good Nancy would keep attacking. And we worked together to get her that confidence, that executive presence, that ability to step into that new version of herself so she could be the best version of herself. Because it doesn't matter what level you are, what got you to where you are isn't going to get you to the next place in any aspect of your life. And so stepping into that new version of yourself can allow that to happen. And go ahead.
No, I'm absolutely loving this, and I can relate to all the dragons so far, so please do carry on.
And there's Perfect Paula. So Perfect Paula wants everything to be just so before she'll take any action, which means she'll make you write the email and rewrite the email and rewrite the email, and then the deadline passes and you never even get the email sent, or that application. Oh, I should have written the application, but I didn't write the application. And it affects everything. So it's either you don't start or you procrastinate because, well, then if I submit something that's not so good, it's okay because I didn't have that much time. I didn't spend much time on it. So it's okay if it's not. It's a mind game. And she continues to play it. And one of my clients, Stacy, was building her practice, her realtor business, wasn't letting anybody know what she did. She had this newsletter she wanted to create, but she just couldn't tell anybody about it. And once we worked together to get her clear and get this Perfect Paula to calm down, she was able to actually market herself and grow her business. And now she has a very successful real estate business. The next dragon is judging Jana. Judging Jenny. Jana is the person that I use as an example. It's another J. But judging Jenny, she wants you to compare yourself to everybody else.
Gosh.
And think that you're better than them, or anticipate that they think they're better than you. And it's crazy making. And she loves, oh my gosh, social media. That's her playground. She loves social media. She will play. She's like, oh, goody. You're going to compare yourself to this person because you're going to say, oh, I can't post this because I have a celebration and that person's having a really hard time. Or, oh, look at them. They're doing so well. And right now I'm just feeling miserable. And it's a challenge and a mind game. And my client Jana was going through this because she wanted to design her life the way she wanted to live it. And everybody outside was telling her, oh, you should do it this way, you should do it that way, and shooting all over her. And she was taking that on. And finally, after we worked together, she was really clear. Okay, this is what I want for my life. This is what I am going to do. This is best for me, for my family, for my work. I want to design my life this way. And she's loving her life now. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to let that dragon go or tame it. Not that it doesn't occasionally come back, but knowing how to dance with it, knowing how to tame it, knowing how to navigate it. And as I said, these dragons all have women's names. These are my dragons. Your dragons might have different names. The next dragon I talk about is overwhelmed Ophelia. What? You gonna come up with a different better O dragon name? Overwhelmed Ophelia wants you to have your calendar packed, your schedule packed with all sorts of activities, and then have a to-do list that is a mile long because all of these actions that you need to take. And it's exhausting. And there's no way that it can all happen. And that no wonder you feel overwhelmed, because she makes it feel like that busy is a badge of honor. Like, oh, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. It's not really a badge of honor. It's really not. And my client Yvonne was getting caught up in this overwhelm. Like, where do I even go next? What do I do? And after working together, she was able to get really clear. Like, I need to delegate. I need to get help. I need to ask for what I need and recognize this doesn't even matter anymore and get it off of my plate. Reduce that overwhelm. And now she helps other people with their overwhelm. So all of these dragons, if you let them continue on their natural path, they will wreak havoc in your life and will derail you and take you off track and prevent you from living the life that you want. So would you like to know some of the secrets to
Yes,
tame them?
absolutely. Do tell us more. I'm thoroughly loving this conversation because it's like, and who doesn't have all of them? I mean, I know we were laughing, but, dragons aside or not, but the reality is everyone has a common theme here. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And certain dragons may come up at certain times in your life or certain situations, and others might come up in other ways. And sometimes they all do.
Yeah.
and some, it's like, which one is active right now? And what can you do about that? And one of the ways to tame the dragons is to live a better story. And what I mean by that is, you've heard all the stories that you've grown up with, whether it's a fairy tale or whether you're watching a movie. Every story has a meaning. It has a theme. It has a design. It has a story arc. But if you don't like the story arc of your life, you can retell it in the way that you like. You may not be able to change the events that happened in life or what's going to happen or what is happening, but what is the meaning around that? That's what you have the power over. That's what you can actually do something with. And so what is it that you want? Because some people could say, oh, I'm a victim and everything is happening to me. And then you're at the effect of everything in life. But when you can be a cause, like, well, what am I going to do about that? What do I actually have control over? And that is what matters, because that you can do something about. And my client Mary Jean had a very challenging childhood. And she also later lost her spouse. And so she's gone through a tremendous amount in her journey. And as she looked at it, she used to feel very, very much like she didn't have a life. I mean, it wasn't her own life. It was like everybody else's life that she was participating in, but she wasn't owning her own life. And now she's actually living her life and fully stepping into it. And since we've been working together, she's had new challenges that have appeared. And the way she's addressed them is very different than how she'd addressed them before, because she's able to stay in her power. Now, I'm not saying that it's easy. It's work to do it, but she even has the awareness that it's possible, which I think is something that if we don't even have that awareness, we can't do anything about it. And so it's huge to recognize, like, what do I have control over and what can I do? And sometimes it is feel miserable for a while and actually feel the feelings. And then it's like, okay, now what? What do I do next? And how can I not have my story tell me what to do? How can I tell my story? And I think you're a great example of that, telling your story in an empowered way. We're not the victims of our stories. We are the characters in those stories who are doing something and evolving. And the next piece of wisdom to tame these dragons is to tell time what to do. We have 24 hours a day. Everybody has the same 24 hours a day. How can some people do so much more with that? What is it that, we all say, oh, I wish I had more time. I wish I could do this. Granted, I wish that was possible, but it isn't. So what do we do with the time that we have? Well, how are you using your time? Are you actually directing your time to what you want? Is it being used in the most effective manner? Am I using it effectively all the time? No. Do I try? Yes. It's a practice. But recognizing, are there chunks of activities that aren't serving you? Maybe, like my client Elaine was in, I lost count. It was exhausting to me, and it wasn't even my wife, but how many different organizations she was volunteering in, and she was helping here, and she was helping there, and she was doing this and doing that, and was wondering why the rest of her life wasn't working the way she wanted it to. And so we started to look at, well, what is taking your time? How are you spending your energy? And she started to make some tough decisions. Like, even though I love this, it's not really in the direction that I want to go. It's not taking me forward. So I'm going to let that go. Or I have 3 of this activity. I'm going to focus on 1. And what are the pieces that matter to you? And how the other piece is, sometimes when you're making a decision, you don't make a decision. And by not making a decision, that actually is a decision, because sometimes time will make the decision for you. Things happen, you'll wait and then the deadline passes and you don't actually have the opportunity anymore. Or as women, if you want to have your own child and you biologically can, but you wait too long, then the biological clock stops ticking, and then that's a decision that time can make. So what is it that you can do to actually pay attention? Like, is everything that you're focused on in alignment with what you want? And if it's not, change that. And then the third secret to tame these dragons is choose your voices. And what I mean by that, we have the voices around us. We have the people, the family, the friends, the colleagues. And then we have the voices inside our head. Yes. I know you talk to yourself. I mean, we all do. We all have that voice. And the thing is, that voice inside may not actually be your own. It might be a negative voice from somebody when you were a kid. Maybe it was a parent, maybe it was an elementary school teacher, maybe it was a class bully. It might be somebody more recent, a bad relationship. But whoever it is, recognize that isn't yours. And so you don't have to listen to it. And if it's telling you negative things, let it go. Because so often that sometimes the meanest person is the one that's inside your own head. Definitely. Because you can't get away from it. And so recognizing that is the case so that you can actually shift it. Because when you don't recognize that you're being hard on yourself, you actually can be kind to yourself. And you can choose what you let into your life, what you listen to. And it can be even what media you watch, whether it's the news, whether it's a TV program, whether it's a movie. If you're wanting to avoid negativity, then don't watch horror movies. Don't want, or all of these heavy dramas. It's like that might not be the best for your mental well-being, but balancing and paying attention to that. Like the people around you, are the people around you being uplifting, or are they tearing you down? And noticing, because I've had several situations recently where clients have come to me dealing with challenging relationships, and having somebody that has been in their life for a very long time. It could be a relative, or it could be a friend, or it could be a colleague, and or even a client. And it's like, this person is not a good fit anymore. And maybe you recognized it at the beginning, and maybe you didn't. Maybe you didn't have a choice because it's a family member. But what do you do? And how do you either spend less time, or allow a pause after they say something to let yourself calm down? How do you spend less time? Or sometimes you have to completely cut them out of your life. And that can be really, really challenging. But recognizing that you have that choice, and how can you choose? What are the voices you're paying attention to? Who are you surrounding yourself with? What are you allowing into your world in any context of it? And so once you have all of these solutions, you really need to take action. And that can be the hard part, because sometimes it's like, well, how do I even just start? But taking one small step can help to tame the dragons, can help actually shift the energy, and recognizing what that is. And so I'd love to have a little bit more conversation about what is, from what we've talked about so far, what is something that you want to know more about, and we can dive deeper.
I mean, one of the things I'd love to know about is more about, you are an international award-winning speaker and neuroscience and mindset expert. So tell me more about the neuroscience part of it, please. I'd love to know more about that.
What I have found is, I've always been fascinated to learn about what makes us tick, and how do we operate. And so even back in high school, I was learning, what is it? And I'd read something, or I'd study something, or I'd do peer counseling, or what is it that's going on that makes us show up the way we do? And having the experience of classmates who had died very young, it helped me have a lot of compassion. And I wanted to understand, because some of them, they had died by suicide, and some it was an accident, and some it was a health condition. What was really going on? And is there something that can be done? And looking at, well, what do we control in our minds? And what is something that may be a chemical? What is something that may be, there are so many different ways that things happen. But if it is something that doesn't need pharmaceuticals, what can we do for ourselves that can change? And having experienced one of my first job was helping teens and young adults who had autism, and some of them it was pretty severe autism. And another job that I had was working in the adapted physical education department at our local community college. And so I got to meet people who had different ways of their minds working, and different ways that their bodies worked or didn't work, as the case may be. And seeing how the attitude of people, one fellow, Mark, was a professional tennis player, yet had lost the ability to use his legs. And I was like, wait, what? How, this is before I had the opportunity to meet very many people. that had physical disabilities. And I was like, wait, you can do that? And seeing his humor about everyday life and not being able to feel his feet and running into doorways and then laughing and said, wow, that must have hurt. And just recognizing, oh, there's a way you can think about your life that doesn't have to be, oh, I'm a victim. Oh, I'm so sad. And so learning tools that can help shift that. Because some people may naturally be able to do that, but I don't think everybody can. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that don't believe anything can ever change. And when you actually start doing something different, then you're able to have control over your life again and make that difference, because we get stuck in our patterns and sometimes we just need to shift. Like let's get out of our box, whatever our box is, and shift it all together. It's like, oh, look around. What's happening out here? And how the mind makes those connections. And you can reconnect it in different ways that makes it absolutely incredible. Because when you're always doing the same thing, you get in that rut. But it is possible to get out of that rut and do something different and make
absolutely.
And I know based on each of our stories, we've had really challenging things that we've gone through, and we've been able to get through them. And I'm sure people from the outside are like, how the heck did you do that? And how could you have done, and it's like, sometimes in the moment, you're in the moment. You're not thinking about how can I do this? How can you're in survival and you're making it happen. And then it's often when you're no longer in that survival mode, then everything falls apart. Because you're like, oh, now that I'm not on using all the adrenaline, I have to actually put it all together.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. And one of the questions I do have for you is, why do you do the work you do? Because that's, under the circumstances, it's a lot of intense work, and it takes a special person to do it as well. I really commend you for that. So
I think, well, one of the reasons is because I've gone through this journey and I know that it's possible to make changes. I love seeing the changes people are able to make for themselves. And it's a privilege to be a witness to that transformation. Of course, I love helping people change, but I'm not the one making the change. They're the ones making the change. And so it's almost like a proud mom moment in some ways. It's like even if my clients are older than me, it doesn't matter. It's just like that ability to create a community that is incredibly powerful, because the friendships that have developed between my clients, or among my clients, I should say, is profound. When I've led retreats, those deep friendships that they've connected, I know continue because I've seen it. One of my clients recently got married and had invited several of us to her wedding, and it's because of the people that are drawn together. And so it's a passion to be able to make a difference.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah. So what are the most common reasons you find for people not living a life filled with joy?
Well, I think it comes back to some of those joy-stealing dragons. I think they are often caught up in the patterns that aren't really serving them. That they're really allowing the mind chatter to derail them. It's how we affect ourselves is profound. The people who are succeeding have aligned their thoughts in a way to help them keep moving forward. And if that isn't the case, sometimes it's because you want to keep learning and you want to keep growing, and so that you're studying it but not actually taking the action. And some people are just taking the action, but they have no idea what they're doing. They're just like going for it. And and each one has an advantage and a disadvantage. And some people will spend all their time planning everything, but may not actually get it done. And other people will build the relationships in the community. But putting all of those pieces together so that you can have those relationships and the community and the connection with the plan, with the structure, with the responsibility, having the freedom and the fun and the flexibility and the putting the attention on it, and having the ability to do it logically, and have the self-actualization and the self-mastery, doing the study that goes along with it. Putting all of that together gives you the best chance of making anything work well.
So what are ways to get more joy in your life? And who doesn't want more joy in their life? Let's be honest now. If we could just have joy every day, all day long, I'll be first in line, please.
Well, like I had mentioned, living the story in a way that matters, and finding other ways that you can do that is paying attention to gratitude. Because I don't know if you have a gratitude practice, but having a gratitude practice, researchers have shown that even just 3 things a day that you write down will have an impact 6 months later. If you just do that for like a week, write 3 things that you're grateful for every day. And when I first started my gratitude journal, oh my goodness, I was not in a good place. And I was like, I have to come up with 3 things that I'm grateful for. What are you talking about? I'm like, okay, I'm grateful I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful the day is over. I'm grateful. I mean, literally those were my first gratitudes, because it was just like, I survived the day, low bar for gratitude. And it continued to get better. And what I noticed, and what I know they've studied this, the more you start to pay attention to what you're grateful for, the more things you're grateful for, the more you start to notice it. And then it becomes, during the day, it's like, oh, I can write that in my gratitude journal. Oh, I can, it's like, oh, I saw that cool flower. Oh, wow, I saw that amazing cloud that looked like a unicorn, or whatever it was. And it's like, pay attention to that. Or, oh, I heard the song I was thinking of, and it came on the radio right at the right time. Anything that you can think of, it starts to bring that joy. And it's that reticular activating system in our minds is something, it pays attention to what we pay attention to.
Yes.
So if you're going to cut your hair differently, you start noticing everybody else that has their hairstyle that you're wanting. Or if you're looking for a car and you have a particular model in mind, you want a white Honda Accord. Suddenly, that's the only car that you see anywhere. And no, I don't have any affiliation with Honda, but it's just, but if you start noticing things that you wouldn't notice otherwise. So planting the seeds of what you do want to pay attention to, so that you can start paying attention to more of that. And rather than focusing on the negative, start focusing on the positive. Because it's very easy to go spiral down into the negativity. And the more you focus on that, then the more that exists. So turn the spiral the other direction and start focusing on the upward part of it.
That's absolutely fantastic, and I love that. Yes. And you are the author of Getting to Joy. Tell me more about your book, and I was going to say who it's for, but I think everyone should read it because everyone should have more joy in their life.
Well, thank you for that. Yes, it's practical tips. It's simple, practical tips that you can use in your life every day to have more joy. And yes, I share about my story, but it's also a nuggets of what you can do. And it's digestible bits that you can take and apply immediately. And when I've heard feedback from people, they're like, wow, I get it. It sounds like you're talking to me. And so it just take a moment, read a chapter and get that nugget and apply it to your life, and you'll find new ways of getting to joy. And I wanted to gift it to the listeners, because if you're listening and you want more joy, you can have it. And so go to gettingtojoy.com/gift. If you don't put the /gift, then you got to go buy it. So
yeah, that'll definitely be in the link. So please, listeners, do go ahead and get it. I'm sure it's definitely worth the effort. All you've got to do is put that link in, have a look in the show notes, and away you go.
Thank you, Anita. I appreciate you doing that for your listeners.
Thank you so much. So I've got to ask you this. You are a certified laughter yoga leader. Please tell me more about that. I want to know more about that, definitely.
When I was attending a conference, I was going early and walked past a room, and I heard this uproarious laughter. What are they doing? And I peeked in, and they weren't watching anything. They were just laughing. And I thought, this is nuts. I was like, what are they? And so I walked in, and they're like, oh, come join us. Ha, 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 ha. And I'm like, what is going on here? And they kept doing it every day of the conference. And I participated. I talked to the person who was leading the group, and I said, how did you learn about this? And they're like, oh, well, you can train and bring this to your groups. And I thought, oh, I need to do that. I need to figure out how, because sometimes I cover pretty heavy topics. I want to be able, and I love laughing. And I'm like, how can I combine this? And what I learned is Dr. Madan Kataria from India had created laughter yoga because he's a cardiologist, and he found that his patients who laughed had better outcomes. He was like, what can we do about this?
Yeah, exactly.
I want to prescribe laughter, but how do you prescribe laughter? So he started a group in the park. There were like 5 people, and they stood around telling jokes and laughing. And the group grew to maybe 50 people, and they were telling jokes. And then it started to get to the point where it's like, I've heard that one before. Oh, that one's not funny. Or, oh, that one's offensive. And he realized that they had to do something different. So he talked to his wife, who happens to be a yoga instructor. And they decided, maybe if we combine this somehow, there's a way to intentionally laugh, and laugh with intention, which became laughter yoga, actually has health benefits. It can level out blood pressure. It's able to reduce the cortisol, which is the stress hormone, and increase the endorphins. And it makes people more productive, enhances creativity. So it's great in work environments as well as personally. And all you have to do is laugh. And it's actually, just join me. We can just laugh. And you can fake it. It doesn't have to be real laughter, because your body doesn't know the difference. And if you just start laughing and you do it consistently, you get those benefits. And so I learned that up to now, my favorite time of leading laughter yoga was at a conference for Compassionate Friends, which is for bereaved parents, and leading a room full of bereaved parents in laughter yoga. And my friend came with me, and she's like, I'm going to come because you're leading it, but I'm not going to laugh. I said, okay. And I was like, sure, you won't laugh.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, she's like, how did you do that? I laughed for 45 minutes straight. She's like, I haven't laughed in 7 years.
God.
And it's powerful. It's like, laughter is contagious, and you don't have to have the humor or the comedy or the funny movie or the whatever to laugh. You can just decide that you're going to laugh and you can get those benefits.
Absolutely. Love it. So what is one of the most important lessons you've learned over your life so far? Because I'm sure there's been some big lessons there.
The biggest lesson is to take care of myself first. And that is a challenging lesson because when you're being pulled in so many different directions, when you're taking care of other people, and I wish I had learned it earlier because it would have helped me, but you learn it when you learn it, and maybe I can help somebody shortcut that. It takes practice to do because we're trained to take care of everybody else and do everything for everybody else, whether it's work life or home life. Yet if you can't fill your own cup, you can't do anything for anybody else. If we hear it, if you ever fly, you hear it from the flight attendants. It's like, if there's a change in cabin pressure, masks will drop down. Put your mask on first, because if you fall over, you can't help your kid or the person next to you. And so taking care of yourself, and I wish I remember who said this, but after me, you come first. Because if you don't take care of yourself, then nothing else matters. And, I've been working with clients, reminding them of that. My mentors remind me of that. It's like, if I'm frazzled and doing something, it's like, hello, remember what you tell everybody?
Absolutely.
Even if you are, everybody needs a coach or a mentor, because, I like to say, if you're inside the bottle, you can't read the label on the outside. It's so much easier, it's so much easier to give your friend advice, even if they're dealing with the same situation. It's like, oh, well, it's so clear. I can see what is going on. Or, but when a friend gives advice, it's different. But when, somebody, a coach or a mentor gives advice, then they've studied this. It's not just superficial advice. So I highly recommend that for anyone, because if you don't have that attention to you, you're not putting that attention where it needs to be in the rest of your life.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you there, Linda. So if there was one key takeaway you want every listener to walk away with today, what would that be?
Take care of yourself. Don't let those dragons take over your life. Bring back that joy.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So where can the listeners find you online, your book? What's your website, Linda?
It is lindashively.com. That's LINDASHIV as in Victor, ELY.com. And Shively is like lively. So if you can't remember it.
Yeah. Love that. Yes.
And you can find me on all the social media places as well. But go to my website or get my book, gettingtojoy.com/gift.
So thank you for sharing your insightful wisdom and knowledge with us today. And by doing so, I know you have helped so many people and made a difference. I really want to acknowledge you for that. Linda Shively.
Thank you, Anita. It's been so fun being here with you.
It's an absolute pleasure. It seriously is. And please do get the book. It's free. Linda's gifting it to you for free. So we are all about Create the Courage to Be Fearless podcast here. What is your definition of courage?
My definition of courage is, what can you do that helps you be better. Maybe it scares you just a little bit, but what can you do to help yourself be better that can then help the world, even if it scares you?